Greetings, my people. Greetings, my people. Greetings, my people. Today is Monday. Drop my phone. Today is Monday, January 3rd, 2024, 6:49 p.m. And I titled this one, and I ain't gonna be long before you, but I titled this one The Caitlin Clark Effect. Media Made Hype. Now, what do I mean by that? Okay. Notice how I talk about social engineering, the effects of the media. We know that the media can make people love you or hate you, right? Right. So, from my book that I always push, Propaganda by Edward Bernays. Right. So, this is the very first chapter. This very first chapter right here. You see that? It's called Organizing Chaos. You see that highlighted part? Show you I read these books. Even though this is the first page, or this is page 7. I'm gonna read you a little something. It says, I'll read it. It says the conscious and intelligent manipulation of the organized habits and opinions of the masses is an important element in the democratic society. Those who manipulate the unseen mechanism of society constitute an invisible government, which is the true ruling power of our country. Listen to this. We are governed, our minds molded, our taste formed, our ideas suggested, largely by men we have never heard of. This is a logical result of the way in which our democratic society is organized. Vast numbers of human beings must cooperate in this manner if they are going to live together as a smoothly functioning society. Our invisible governors are in many cases unaware of the identity of their fellow members in the inner cabinet. They govern us by their qualities of natural leadership, their ability to supply needed ideas, and their key position in the social structure. All right? Got that? Okay. So, when they say our taste or form, all right? Let me go back and read that part, that section again. We are governed, our minds molded. Hold on right there. Our minds are what? Molded. Our taste formed. Our ideas suggested. Largely by men we have never heard of. I'm going to pause right there. So, we know that our minds are molded. Let's talk about this media made hype, right? Media made hype. Okay, now check this out. And for the slow white people that's gonna get on my post and say terrible things like y'all did in my last video, you're gonna do it anyway because you just can't get right. But listen to what I'm saying. It doesn't mean she's not a good basketball player. It doesn't mean she's not the leading scorer, blah, blah, blah. It means the media is hyping her greatness. Now, how do they do it? By exposure to your mind. The more they expose you, the more they normalize you. Basically, how they did homosexuality. Check. So the more they expose it to you, you say it's the norm. It is normalized. Correct? Right. So when we say exposure, okay, it says, call it the Caitlin Clark effect. And you hear that word? Pause. Call it the Caitlin Clark what? The effect. Now, you deal with what an effect has on you. The WNBA will show 36 of the Indiana Fever's 40 games on its national broadcast and streaming partners, starting with the season opener at the Kinetic Sun. Connecticut Sun. Now, let's do something else. So out of their 40 games, right, 36 will be broadcast. So these are 36 games that are going to get exposure. Now, how else do they do it? They had a game over the weekend, and they played the Chicago Sky, and the whole thing was made about a bump that was made against her. And I'm even seeing some of our people starting to say they're bullying Caitlyn now. I remember seeing Brittany Griner get into fights. I remember seeing them welcoming a rookie, Candace Parker, to the league with physicality. Right? With physicality. So the narrative that they are shaping is that she's being bullied. They're being rough on her. Now, pause. Back to what I'm saying. You would ask why. Okay, it's not that they're jealous. You know, if you want to say, because that's the narrative that I saw. Stephen A. Smith, Shay, Shantae, Shannon Sharp, and Monica McNutt. And Monica McNutt did all right. Now, Monica McNutt, she hit or miss. I can go to some things, but let's talk about her sticking on topic. Okay. And during this, the narrative, the way they're going to mold your mind, they're going to say, number one, through ticket sales. It says ticket gates are selling out. I think they said one game against the LA Sparks, who they don't even mention Cameron Brink. But that's another one. She plays for the Sparks. But they said that she had the Sparks, by Caitlin Clark coming in, they had a higher sellout than one of the Lakers games. They said this has never happened. But they called Caitlin Clark what? The effect. How are they affecting your mind? Through exposure. Pause. You know kind of how they did with COVID. Remember how they flooded your minds with COVID? And they questioned Anthony Fauci today. But we'll get to that. That's a whole nother thing. We're talking about that dog right there. But we're gonna stick to basketball. What did they do to induce fear and panic into you? When they induce fear and panic, it restricts your ability to think clearly. But what did they do? They flooded your mind. They flooded you constantly with something. This is how they introduce you. This is how they normalize things. Now, what does this have to do with the Caitlin Clark effect? Because everywhere you go, they're leading off topics with, I'm seeing Shannon Sharp in his nightcap with old egghead Ocho Cinco. He's starting to say how these players are jealous. If you start to repeat something over and over, this is how Umar Johnson gets you. But I said I wasn't going to speak because y'all ain't ready to speak about that. But he noticed repetition is the mother of what? Learning. Hit them cash apps. Hit them cash apps. There will be this at the Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy. When you repeat stuff long enough, it has an effect on you. So when you're watching her, when I say media-made greatness, and I know I'm going to lose delusional white people. When I'm saying media-made hype, okay, she played at Iowa, right? She played at Iowa. She lost to Angel Reese, Flau'jae Johnson, right? In the national championship, right? Check. She got to the national championship. She broke the record this year, right? Okay, check. So last year, she lost to Angel Reese. What did they make it about? They made it about Angel Reese doing this. They took the spotlight off of her losing and made it about Angel Reese's taunting her. Now, nobody focused on her waving off Raven Johnson from the South Carolina Lady Gamecocks. Shout out to them and their undefeated season. How come nobody talked about their undefeated season? What if Caitlin Clark would have went undefeated? How would the media have responded to that? How would the media have responded to this? Much like they do you with LeBron James, they have the same type of pushing. because there's a narrative. They need somebody to sell those tickets. They need somebody to carry the league. Fair game. But make it a choice. I don't want to hear Jeff Teague saying things like telling the women to be less competitive. That's dangerous for athletes to say, be less competitive. That'll make me think he would throw a game. Right? So this year, she lost to that same undefeated South Carolina team, Carmela Cardoso, who was picked ahead of Angel Reese and Raven Johnson. Raven Johnson did a phenomenal job on her defensive. I told you, when you defend Caitlin Clark, she unravels. The Caitlin Clark effect is so damaging that, what is my girl name? Not Asia Wilson, who's having it. Check out the type of season Asia Wilson is having. Aaliyah Boston. Aaliyah Boston had to delete her Twitter account because of crazy rednecks and crazy hyped white folks harassing her about not catching not Angel Reese's, Caitlin Clark's passes. They blame the teammates. Now, she just got here. Y'all are saying these girls, these young ladies, y'all calling them girls, but y'all are saying these young ladies who paved the way for this league. They're playing in this league before Penelope came. Y'all are saying they're jealous. Now, pay attention, slow white folks. Y'all are saying she's jealous and foolish black folks. Y'all are spewing jealousy when they're saying these players ought to be thankful for her. So when she's misbehaving, she's gotten so many technicals, so bad that her dad in college told her to quit what? Whining. They blamed the turnovers on her teammates. She went complaining to the coaching staff. She's gonna get her. She's acquiring her power now, but she's gonna have the same LeBron James effect, to where if she don't like a coach, they're going to fire the coach. They're not gonna force her to play better. They're going to have to meet her where she at because of the what? The Caitlin Clark effect. They are telling you right in their articles, this Caitlin Clark effect. Now, her numbers has not equated to winning 0 championships. I just told you she got beat by Carmela Cardoso, Raven Johnson this year. She got beat by Angel Reese and Flau'jae Johnson last year. So when it's on the line, she doesn't equate to championship wins. But the hype surrounding her equates to ticket sales, endorsements. So this is why the game is piss poor now, because it's all about hype. The same thing that they're doing with Bronny. They're not focused on any of. I have not heard one thing. I have not seen one thing about Alex Sarr. And he's potentially the first pick by the Hawks. They are cramming people down your throats. So much. What does the effect have on the NBA? Not the Caitlin Clark effect, but the media-made hype. It's so much that they have divided us as a people to where young people are saying we're done with the 90s. The 90s players weren't good. LeBron had to play Giannis Antetokounmpo. I saw a post, and see, these are these false equivalents, and you young guys are ashamed. And who knows who makes these posts? They're made to cause confusion. They have burner accounts that create these things just to start these arguments. Because what did I just read? Your mind is molded. So what you like versus what you don't like is already being induced into your mind. I just read it here. So if they're showing 36 of their 40 games, what about the other players? What about the other teams? They're going to show you as much of her as they can. They're going to talk about her as much as they can in an uplifting way. They're not gonna ever talk about her having tantrums because, like I said, they're gonna call it passion. Notice how when they manipulating your mind, how they focus on key players, and like I told you, the way they label things, that is very key in writing. The way they write things out is extremely key. What do I mean? I'm going to read you something totally off topic, and watch the wording. And watch the wording. This is from this book, 100 Years of Lynching. So let me show y'all who to get mad at. Get mad at this person right here, Ralph Ginsburg. Who wrote it? Ralph Ginsburg, not Obasi. Now let me show you how writing is key in shaping your minds. And I ain't even got to go. And I'm going to show you. I don't even have to go deep. Okay. Okay. This is from, it says, an editorial from the Springfield, Massachusetts Weekly Republican. Now, what am I talking about? How they label you in something versus they don't. And then I'm gonna get back to my sports topic. Okay. Listen to the heading. Dated January 19th, 1896. What date? January 19th, 1896. Now listen to this topic. Listen to the heading. White superiority in Florida. The noble and valiant Anglo-Saxons of Manatee County, Florida, are engaged just now in demonstrating the superiority of the race. Listen careful when I'm reading you. Some days ago, the son of a county sheriff and the son of a poor Negro quarreled, and the black was the victor in a boys' fight. Listen to this. Listen to the heading. Listen to the labeling of how they're describing people. Thereupon, the sheriff and a number of brave whites, fully armed. Now listen where I'm going. Now let me pause it out because remember I told you I'm not gonna do y'all boy for you. But thereupon, the sheriff and a number of brave whites, fully armed, went to the Negro's cabin at night and demanded that the boy be handed over to them. Knowing what would be his probable fate, the Negro refused to surrender his son. I wouldn't have either. On the contrary, he seized a gun and then fired when the white mob fired upon. Okay, start over. On the contrary, he seized a gun when the white mob fired upon the house. He returned fire and unalived the sheriff. And then the whites, in a rage, picked up a log and rushed upon the cabin door to batter it in. And another shot from the Negro's gun unalived another white man and fatally wounded a third. Follow where I'm going. The mob retreated for reinforcement, and the Negro took his boy and gun and made off for the swamp. At last account, he had not been captured and tortured to death. But in lieu of this, the noble and manly whites, listen at this labeling. Let me start over. But in lieu of this, the noble and manly whites were going about the country, firing into cabins of innocent and defenseless blacks, burning up the homes of some, unaliving others, and ordering the general exodus of Negroes, threatening to boycott on employers of labor who would not discharge their Negro help. Now, notice how they were saying brave, valiant. Now, back to why did I even bring that up? Because when they were focusing in on Kennedy Carter's bump against Caitlin Clark, they focused in on Angel Reese clapping. The media focused in on her because they've had it in for her ever since she spoiled the championship winning. How dare she says this? She's not John Cena. What the hell is wrong with her? We can't see you, Angel, and you're black. God damn it. They focused in on her. And today, the WNBA upgraded that foul into a flagrant foul. The Caitlin Clark effect. So there's no jealousy. But when you bring somebody that's a Jane come lately and you are putting her up above everybody else, you're giving her the total white superiority treatment. I told y'all, be careful how y'all talk about white folks, because this right here proves why they think the way they still think and why we think the way we think. Because in order for us, like the Honorable Nana Amos Garvey, and what did I say Nana mean? Great teacher or wise teacher. He said, in order for them to rule, it is imperative, and I'm paraphrasing, that black people are out of their minds. So when you getting all charged up and you upset and you still not figuring out what's wrong with black folks, it is in the best interest that we are the most insane, that we are the most uneducated, that we don't focus on building, that we don't focus, God for God's sakes, don't focus on them. Unless we are building them up for the black wife effect or the white husband effect, that is the only way we are to look at them. We are always to look at them in the fashion that they're telling you to look at Caitlin Clark as their white savior. She's coming in and saving this league. Now, what would have happened if Camila Cardoso would have got that type of hype? Because it is not the talent, it is the media accepting of them. What you mean, Obasi? Because the media will make you love somebody, and then the next moment they'll make you hate them. Did it? Oh, and I love the quote lyrics. Jim Jones had a song called Emotionless. And he says, one of his bars said, and they tell you that life is but a gamble. The media will turn your whole life into a scandal. The media will turn your entire life into a scandal in the blink of an eye, because they have the effect on what you like and what you don't like. What's acceptable, what's not acceptable. Ba-da-da-da-da. I'm loving it. Fancy jingles. You wanna brainwash people? Put it in a song. How do we teach babies? The wheels on the bus go round and round, round and round. Humpty Dumpty sat on the wall. Humpty Dumpty. We sing things because music has a way of getting into your mind. You ever find yourself singing a song you know you ain't got no business listening to, but you start to like it? Why? Because they play that song over and over and over and over and over and repeat it till you walking around saying, yeah, Glow. And I like Glorilla. And then this is how they do. This is how white supremacy works when it's turning on its axis. They make you think that they say, well, these are the artists that you want. Y'all wanted Sexy Red, did we? Did we want her? Or was she forced on us? Was she given to us and they propped her up? How do you know? Because how come what's my girl? Rhapsody. How come Rhapsody isn't given that spotlight? How come they want little girls to think Sexy Red is the move. Because I just told you right here. I just showed you how they write into their articles through this. Now pick this book up. This is nothing but documented evidence. This is not Obasi's evidence. I'm using it. This is Ralph Ginsburg. This is documented evidence of news articles. And when you read through not only when you just read through the savagery, when you read through the barbarism, however you pronounce it, you understand what we're dealing with. You understand what we're dealing with. So in the Caitlin Clark effect, when 36 of her games are being televised on different networks, she's getting more exposure than anybody. A child doesn't learn something until they're exposed to it, right or wrong. Do not hit my comments with your emotions. Answer the damn question. It is how you are talked about. It is how they talked about. They never talked about any of Kyrie Irving's good deeds. Kendrick Perkins said, "You know what? If you were to put a bird brain, a Kyrie's brain inside of a bird, the damn bird would fly backwards." They insulted this brother personally because he decided he did not want to take the hokey pokey. And he stood on it. You had prolific figures. You had Kareem Abdul-Jabbar to say, get him out the league. You had Shaq threatening to fight him. And all of this shaped the people's mind and called him what? Crazy. They called him crazy. Salute, G. I appreciate it. I appreciate that comment. Love, fam. They called him crazy. They shaped everybody's mind versus how to look at that, brother. So what make you think they're not shaping your mind of how you looking at Caitlin Clark? I even got I'm seeing my people say, okay, at this point, they're bullying her. It's basketball. Go play basketball. But this is the media, darling, and just like COVID-19, they are getting you adjusted to the new norm. They are establishing boundaries. Do not foul her like this. We're going to upgrade it from a regular foul to a flagrant foul. But I have videos of her flailing her arms, hitting players in the face. She waved off Raven Johnson in total disrespect. Think, how are we being shaped? We are do nothing people because that's what been induced into us, to do nothing and to fear white folks. Don't even speak your true identity. Don't even speak your true mind because they're always watching. And I refuse to live in that fear. I refuse. You know why? And they say, well, you know what? And this is the last point before I get out of here. People that say, black people that say, black people can be racist too. Okay. Well, it's a power game. So when they say black people can be racist too, no, we can be prejudiced all day. We can prejudge, even though, why do I have to prejudge what I know? If you burn up my house, do I prejudge? Am I judging you? Or did I know you burned up my house and what you're capable of if you get mad? So they burn into you generationally to never tick off these people, which is why that movie, The Magical Negro, was made. Because their job is to keep white folks happy. Because when white folks get upset, terrible things happen. People die in mass numbers. So they're always told you, like I told you, black people, stop putting up y'all palms and say white people. Because when you looking at it on TikTok, they say black people. They don't hold up a black shirt and say, they say what they say. But it's already induced in you to be a coward and say, well, you can't say that because they say, and then the ones that's funny that the black people say racism don't exist. Those are the total nut. They say racism don't exist. Racism works two ways. Well, you show me how they speak what they speak, and they hide themselves because that's what they are. They hide behind hooded Americanism. They hide behind masks because that's what their ancestors do. Right? But they got you so afraid that if you ever speak what you feel, you know that they will kill you. And that's some racism for your ass. The only way they want a black man to be strong is the way that they tell you to be strong. If you're strong in your own opinion like Kyrie Irving, they are going to demonize you. They're going to strip you of everything, and that is the fear. What was the penalty in that movie, The American Society of Magical Negroes? What was the penalty for breaking the code? You were a regular Negro. And that's what most of us are so afraid to be a regular Negro. You want to live in this kind of paradigm or this utopia of you want to get rich. Hey, that's okay. Everybody, I want money. But when it comes between that and compromising my truth, I'm already broke. I'm already dead. So when we're looking at, and I know I said this was my last comment, but I always do this. There's a movie. It was an Atlanta movie, and it got T.C. Carson. He plays Kyle Barker in Living Single, and it was called Living Large. And this shows you the transition. This is kind of like a Magical Negro movie too, but it shows you the transition of what it takes for you to be a successful black man in America. You either a couple of ways. You either gay, LGBT, you either thugged out, or NIGGA, and that don't mean never ignorant, getting goals accomplished. That ain't what that means. Or you are a sellout. You are that of what I'm talking about in this movie. And in this movie, his name is Dexter Jackson, your man about town. And in this movie, Dexter wanted to be like a news anchor, right? So he's working for his sisters. I think they had like a cleaning company or a laundry company. And he witnesses something about to go down. He witnessed his hero was a news anchor who was a total Sambo that treated him like shit, right? So they always say when you meet your hero, sometimes you're going to really know that they really are assholes. So his hero, who's a news anchorman, was a total asshole. Blew him off like, ugh, dirty nigga, what you doing here? Right? So he ended up getting knocked off. The reporter ended up getting knocked off. So Dexter, who's played by T.C. Carson, picks up the camera and goes in, and he goes in and gets the story. And the more they did, they hired him because they liked his bravery. I call his bravery to get this story. They liked him doing whatever to get the story because that's what news people like. Want you to do whatever. And you should look at this movie. See if that movie's on like YouTube or something. It's called Living Large. And the more he began to get these stories, the more he began to lose himself. Why? Because he do what they train you to do. Shit on your community. He shitted on all the neighborhood spots around. He shitted on the barber. He shitted on the older lady that was had a soul food kitchen. He ratted out some of his best people. Because in order for you to be a magical Negro, you must denounce the hood. You must denounce them dirty niggas. You're not like that. You different. So when young boys or young girls are acting like Candace Owens, we get upset. But they give you these white examples like a Caitlin Clark to look up to. When she looked up to who? Maya Moore, a WNBA legend who quit early and was a winner. I don't judge greatness by numbers, because numbers can be tricky. Numbers can be manipulated. Numbers are and that's what they do. They get you obsessed with numbers. That's a whole another thing. I'm trying to keep this thing short. But they get you obsessed with numbers. How much money a person got, how tall a man is, how many kids a woman got, how much she weighs. Numbers, 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 numbers. I judge your greatness by your heart. I judge your greatness how you compete. Now, if you win multiple championships, yeah, those numbers go into factor. But when you have that real killer instinct, when you have that real competitive nature, that's what I call greatness. I don't mean whining and running behind the referee like LeBron James, pouting like a 3-year-old when he gets his favorite toy taken away. That's not greatness to me. He also has media-made greatness. Same thing like I had to give you. You delusional bronze-sexuals. Listen to me. The same thing I said to those delusional white people applies to you too. I'm not saying he's not a good player. He can't play basketball. I'm not saying that. But they flood your mind and you're not even able to criticize him. It's everybody's fault but his. Fire Darvin Ham. How in the heck did Darvin Ham take them to the Western Conference Finals the year before, and then he gets knocked out by the same team that knocked them out before, and it's his fault? The difference between Anthony Edwards and that young man, his time is coming. Now I'm about to wrap it up. But the difference between an Anthony Edwards and a young Anthony Edwards and an old LeBron James is the way he treats his teammates. I watched that young boy rally his players when they were playing against Denver. I watched him rally his teammates when they were playing against Dallas. I didn't watch him sit away from them. I didn't watch them give his players, his teammates, dirty looks and throw them under the bus in the media. That kills your chemistry. Chemistry beats talent. I don't care what you say, every time. And this is what the Caitlin Clark effect. Now watch this. I told you on Monday, January 3rd. It's 7:27 now. I told you on Monday, January 3rd, 2024, at 7:27. That watch how this affects the people. They're trying to make her bigger than the game, and that's not it. That's my time. I hope I was able to make you teach you something, make you think about some things. Respectfully hit my comments and share dialogue with me. I'm always open for talk. Peace.